Just as I was about to take the stage to accept Marius's proposal, his sister Adora suddenly rushed up wearing a tight formal dress and a veil. Marius's eyes were filled with astonishment as he stared blankly at her seductive figure. Adora extended her finger toward him. "Come, put it on me." Marius, without a word, he dropped to one knee and placed the engagement ring he had prepared for me onto her finger, then kissed the back of her hand. "You're a completely different person today. You always wear those baggy t-shirts and jeans. I had no idea you had such a great figure." Adora, she yanked his tie, and her fiery red lips instantly pressed against his cheek, followed by a slap on his butt. "Who told you not to pay attention to me normally? How many times have we slept together and you never even looked at me? Today I'm showing you that I can be your buddy, but I can also be very feminine." The scene erupted in a burst of commotion, followed immediately by teasing shouts. "Whoa, they're perfect for each other. Kiss her, kiss her." Marius laughed and was about to pull Adora in for a kiss when he suddenly remembered that today's leading lady was still seated below. He turned his head and saw me, pale-faced. He panicked. Adora explained with a smile instead, "I'll help you rehearse the proposal process." "Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day." Now the story begins. The she referred to was me, after all. Although we had just met for the first time today, we had already been playing for over an hour, and she had been calling me Amim the whole time, never once using my name. Looking at the smile on her face, my own had long since gone beyond merely pale. The fury in my heart was utterly uncontrollable. If it weren't for Bella holding me back, I would have slapped her long ago. "I object. Today is Marius proposing to me. What are you going up there for? Does proposing really need rehearsal? According to you, do our engagement and marriage in the future also require you to go up there and rehearse them first?" Adora didn't expect me to confront her in front of so many people. The smile on her face instantly froze, and she looked at me with disbelief. Even Marius and the others were stunned. After all, the previous me gave people the impression of being gentle and kind, speaking in soft whispers. They had never seen me lose my temper before. So they thought I was a woman with an extremely good disposition, someone who wouldn't even resist if someone stepped on her face. So that's why just now on stage, Marius and Adora dared to brazenly complete the entire proposal process right in front of me. Seeing Adora's smile fade, Marius quickly stepped forward to shield her behind him, looking at me with dissatisfaction as he began to explain. "Charlotte, don't blame Adora. It was my idea to have her rehearse with me. Because I was a bit nervous about the first proposal and afraid I'd mess up, so I asked her to help me practice. Now that we've finished rehearsing the process, shall we start for real now?" After saying that, he jogged down and walked over to me, trying to pull me onto the stage. I immediately shook off his hand, my tone icy. "Do rehearsals require kissing hands, kissing cheeks, and spanking butts now? Are you saying I have to do that too if I go up there now?" Marius's pupils contracted, and a hint of frost already crept onto his face as he whispered in my ear with a slight warning tone. "Charlotte, do me a favor, don't cause a scene today with so many people around, okay? After the proposal ends and we get home, you can curse all you want, even hit me if you must. But don't embarrass Adora in front of all these people." "It's Adora again." I looked at him and curled my lips into a cold smile. "Are you afraid she won't be able to save face? Are you joking around?" It was clearly me who couldn't save face just now. "When you kissed her up there, and she kissed you back, did you ever think that I was sitting right below, dressed up beautifully, wearing makeup, watching you two flirt shamelessly, and right in front of so many people? Did you ever consider how humiliating it was for me? Marriage proposal, there's no need to propose anymore. Since you two have already gone through all the motions, why don't you just get married?" My words made Marius completely angry. "Charlotte, can you please stop messing around? Adora is my brother, and we always fool around like this in our daily lives. If something really happened, you wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be proposing to you. You know, I've been planning this proposal for a long time, selecting the props carefully, and hiring people to set up this poetic and picturesque scene. It's all for you. Why can't you understand and believe me?" I chuckled softly. "But you planned for so long, and in the end, you gave it to Adora to use." Marius was furious, scratching his head with both hands. "I told you that was just a rehearsal. The one who was actually supposed to use it was you." At this moment Adora stepped down, taking her turn to shield Marius behind her as she raised her eyebrows and looked at me. "Charlotte, was it? Why are you being so aggressive toward Marius? Do you have any idea how much effort he put into proposing to you? And now that it's come to this, you're accusing him and making him angry. If it weren't for wanting to give you an amazing proposal experience, I wouldn't have shown up on stage at all. Okay, woman is woman, and that petty, narrow-minded attitude of yours is disgusting." I stared at her. "Oh, woman is woman. So you're a man then? Then why are you wearing such a revealing tight skirt, practically exposing your entire chest? Why do you still need to wear makeup and a veil? Don't you two find it disgusting kissing each other like that? If you like him so much, just tell him you want him for yourself. Why all these underhanded tricks? I think you're the real bitch. Smack. A sharp, crisp slap suddenly rang out. My left cheek was struck with a slap, and the burning pain made me hiss in discomfort. Covering my face, I looked toward the person who had hit me. It was Marius. He was glaring at me with fury, commanding me, "Charlotte, apologize to Adora, apologize to her. Or I won't pursue this marriage today." Bella was startled, felt my face, and was furious. "Marius, what are you doing? Why did you hit Charlotte? You forgot that today you were supposed to propose to her. Shouldn't he the one being hit be Adora, that bitch of a man?" Smack. Bella suddenly received a slap across the face as well. "Whoever calls Adora a bitch again, I'll hit them." I was furious, shoving Marius away and snarling at him through gritted teeth. "You actually hit us. We're breaking up, right now." Adora stepped forward, her face innocent as she tried to calm him down. "Marius, you two shouldn't fight over me. There was nothing inappropriate between us to begin with. We might have gone too far on stage just now. Let's not do that anymore. You should go comfort your little wife properly." Marius sneered instead. "Is this what you call going too far? We haven't done anything to wrong her. We've always interacted like this. Why is she getting jealous over nothing? You don't need to distance yourself from me out of consideration. It's her who needs to learn to accept this. After all, no matter who I marry in the future, you'll always be my irreplaceable sister. My wife must accept your presence, otherwise. She's not qualified to be my wife." Adora was overjoyed, and with a leap of her legs, she jumped onto him. Marius immediately caught her steadily. "You truly are my son." The people around them started cheering again. "Adora, Adora, Marius, Marius." Bella was about to rush forward, her face full of anger, but I grabbed her and turned to leave. We walked out of the base gate, leaving all their noisy quarreling behind us. Bella followed me out, looking puzzled. "Wait, Charlotte, why are we leaving? We should go up there and tear them apart. Marius is your boyfriend." I didn't say anything, just grabbed her hand and walked away. It wasn't until we got in the car that I looked at her, and after tearing them apart, they'd just become fodder for other people's gossip and laughter. Besides, both of them are surrounded by Marius's friends, so we might not necessarily win. If we get injured, it wouldn't be worth it. Forget about me. I don't want to drag you into this. Now that I know he's such a scumbag, I'll just stay away from him. I don't want to waste my time and energy on him anymore. Bella looked at me, her tone still full of grievance. "You're just putting up a front, aren't you? I can see your eyes are red." I quickly rubbed my eyes and forced a smile. "Yes, after all, we've been together for over a year. It's fake to say I'm not sad, but compared to suffering while being together, I'd rather cut things short decisively now and make a clean break. Can you help me move?" Bella nodded vigorously. "Great." After getting home, I immediately took out my suitcase to pack my things. We worked super fast and finished packing in a little over an hour. For the items we couldn't take with us, I asked the aunties in the neighborhood to come pick them up. When I dragged my suitcase to the door, Bella called out to me, "Charlotte, should we take this surveillance camera with us?" I took a glance. This was the one I had installed to watch the cat and deter burglars. "No need, just leave it here." I first moved to Bella's house, planning to stay for a few days before moving again. Just after we finished washing up, my phone received dozens of missed calls and over 10 WeChat messages. "Charlotte, where did you go? Not saying a word. Do you not want to get married anymore? I've explained so much to you. There's really nothing between me and Adora. I love you, hurry back. I'll be waiting for you here. I'll only wait until 12 o'clock, and if you come back after 12, it won't count. Let me show you photos of the setup. Take a close look, make sure the name there is yours. I'm proposing to you, not anyone else. Come back quickly." Image, JPG. I clicked to look, and the names on it were indeed his and mine. But what's the use of that? The one going up is Adora, not me. I didn't reply to the message, nor did I call back. After all, I've already moved out. Go back. That's impossible. Go back to look for trouble. Seeing that I wasn't responding to his messages, he deliberately posted a new update on his social media. In the photos, they were laughing and playing around, drinking and chatting with obvious joy. Marius was caught in the act of deliberately embracing Adora. Adora lay in his arms, bottle to mouth, beer flowing from her chin down to her collarbone, creating an alluring and eye-catching scene. Marius's gaze upon her was indeed filled with enchantment, one arm deliberately wrapped tighter around Adora, yet her eyes looked toward the camera with provocation. After more than an hour, finding that I still hadn't responded, he finally couldn't restrain himself any longer. He had his friend deliberately post a video in the group. In the video, he and Adora walked up onto that proposal stage again, The two of them drinking wine from joined cups, bottle to bottle, mouth to mouth. Adora was still sitting on his waist, patting his butt, riding him like a horse. After sending more than 10 videos in a row, I didn't respond. Marius finally couldn't hold back and sent a message in the group. Brothers, I'm not going home tonight, I'll drink until dawn. I lay directly on the bed staring at the ceiling, couldn't help but recall the effort he put into pursuing me and the sweet times we had together. Adora wasn't there before, she appeared recently. Marius said she just returned from abroad yesterday, and today she showed up at the proposal scene. Suddenly I remembered that it was almost 12 o'clock last night when Marius said he needed to go out, took the car keys and left. He didn't come back until nearly 2 o'clock, because I trusted him. I didn't ask him where he had gone or whom he had met. Thinking about it now, he most likely went to the airport to pick up Adora. If I had known about her existence while I was with Marius, I definitely wouldn't have agreed to his pursuit. Who wants a boyfriend who always has a female buddy with no sense of boundaries around him? Just then, WeChat chimed again. It was Marius. He sent several voice messages in a row. Charlotte, are you still angry? It's such a small thing. You should have some limits when getting angry. Okay, I'm drunk. Come pick me up. I miss you. Where the hell have you been? Answer the phone. I still remained unread and unreplied, in his eyes. This was a minor issue, but in mine, it was no different from cheating. If I could tolerate this, one could only imagine how terrible life with him would be. His calls kept coming through, but I didn't answer any of them. A few minutes later, I suddenly received a friend verification request from someone in my contacts. It is Adora. She added me in the group. I directly ignored it and didn't accept. She added again and wrote a verification message. Charlotte, right? You'd better come quickly and take Marius back. He's been looking for you this whole time. Don't think that going missing will get his attention. I advise you to forget about that idea and come get him quickly. If you don't show up, that's fine. But don't regret it later. Let me tell you, if I wanted Marius, you wouldn't even have a chance to show up. Do you know how his previous girlfriend ended up with him? That's exactly how she was driven away by me. You're no exception. Looking at these messages, I couldn't help but curse under my breath. What a psycho. Bella heard my cursing and asked me what was wrong. I showed her the verification messages sent by Marius and Adora. After reading them, she couldn't help but curse too, saying what a bunch of lunatics. After cursing, we both suddenly burst into laughter. We laughed for a few minutes, then she asked if I was still feeling upset. I shook my head. At first, it was indeed a bit painful and heartbreaking, but more than that, I was angry. I only wanted to leave, not wanting to be entangled with him for even another minute. Don't I love him? Bella looked at me with a face full of confusion. I don't understand. I thought you would cry, but I never expected you wouldn't. Perhaps you're right. It's possible that your instincts are protecting you, not wanting to let you get hurt. I hugged her and sincerely thanked her. Today, it's a good thing you were here, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to leave so decisively. No matter what the reason is, I have to look forward. She comforted me by saying, don't worry, I'll keep accompanying you. Just stay here for now, and we can look for a house slowly. No rush, and it'll give you a chance to keep me company. Let's both take a week off. Okay, let's travel to Tibet. We've talked about going before, but you completely forgot after you started dating. Why not go now while we still can? I looked at her apologetically. Fine, let's do it. I'll take the time off too. I'm sorry. I used to prioritize romance over friendship, but I'll never do that again. Please forgive me. She was smiling so much her mouth wouldn't close. We immediately sent a leave request to the company's HR department. And after getting approval, we slept soundly. With her by my side, I actually slept quite well that night, no insomnia at all. The next day we got up very early, finished our makeup quickly, and headed straight to the high-speed rail station. I remembered someone mentioning before that taking the high-speed train to Tibet and gradually acclimatizing would help reduce altitude sickness, making it much better than getting off a plane immediately. We had just boarded the high-speed train, and I was putting away my luggage when my phone suddenly rang. I answered without checking the caller ID. The moment I picked up, I heard Marius firing several accusatory questions at me. Charlotte, where the hell did you go? You actually moved out. Your things are all gone. When did you move out? Why didn't you tell me? Are you still angry? Why are you so quick to get angry? When you get angry, you just move out. If we get married, are you going to run away from home all the time? Come back quickly. If you come back, I'll forgive you. Hey, say something. Where are you exactly? I'll come pick you up. Charlotte, I was utterly speechless. Since I can't avoid it, I won't try to hide anymore. The air conditioning on the high-speed train was cold, but my tone was even colder. Marius, we've already broken up. Don't call me or send me WeChat messages anymore. Goodbye. On the other end of the phone, Marius suddenly fell silent for a few seconds. Charlotte, No, don't hang up. What do you mean? Why are we breaking up? We're doing fine. Why are we breaking up? We've already met each other's parents. I proposed to you yesterday, and now you're telling me we're breaking up. I don't agree. I simply don't agree to break up. Hearing these words, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Have you forgotten who you proposed to? The one you proposed to was your female buddy Adora. Go marry her then. We're done. That's it. Goodbye. Without waiting for his reaction, I hung up the call directly. Bella looked at me. What? Was it Marius calling again? Did he find out you're not home? I nodded. Yes, and she bombarded me with a bunch of questions too, just as neurotic as Adora. Sure enough, those two are perfectly matched. Bella laughed. Who could say otherwise? As the high-speed train slowly entered Tibet, watching the scenery flash by outside the window, I gradually put Marius and Adora, these two terrible people, out of my mind. After getting off the train, the altitude sickness that followed made me even less able to think of these two people. We had departed in quite a hurry, so we hadn't prepared everything properly. As soon as I stepped out of the station, I felt difficulty breathing and short of breath. Bella was in better physical condition than me, so her altitude sickness wasn't as severe as mine. Seeing that I was about to faint, she anxiously asked passers-by where she could quickly buy an oxygen tank. After getting accurate information, she helped me sit down aside and rushed off to buy the oxygen tank. Her figure grew smaller and smaller in my eyes, gradually becoming blurred. I couldn't help but gasp for air in large breaths, the splitting headache making my entire mind go blank. The last thread of rationality in my mind replayed the first half of my life like a movie, and I felt like I was about to die. Just as my consciousness began to blur, a tube was suddenly inserted into my nasal cavity, and the next second I heard the sound of gas hissing as oxygen began to flow into my nose. I frantically inhaled the oxygen, and as the supply continued, my brain gradually cleared and my eyes began to see clearly again. I thought it was Bella who had come back with an oxygen tank. As a result, the moment I opened my eyes, a face brimming with sunshine and charm slowly filled my vision. Hello, are you okay? I tried to get up from the ground, but just as I stood up, I almost fell over again. He quickly reached out and caught me. Are you alright? Did you come here alone? Here, take my oxygen tank first, and I'll go buy you 2 more. I shook my head, finally managing to find my voice. No, my best friend went to buy some. She should be back soon. Thank you though. He let out a sigh of relief. Just then, Bella returned with 2 oxygen tanks. Seeing the oxygen tank in my hands and the man beside me, she paused in surprise. He flashed a bright smile and introduced himself. My name is Nigel. I've been to Tibet many times. If you'd like, I can be your guide for free. Bella and I exchanged a glance, both hesitating to speak, afraid of encountering a scammer. Seeing our reaction, he immediately understood what we were thinking. Don't worry, I'm very familiar with the police officers here. I can take you to the nearby police station to say hello first, and then you'll see for yourselves, in this unfamiliar place. Having an acquaintance around makes it less likely for anything to go wrong, and you won't get taken advantage of by bad people. While we were still hesitating, he took us to the police station at the train station and greeted the officers there like an old friend. One of the police officers looked at him and laughed. Nigel, you're here again. This time, are you ready to rush in and save people at a moment's notice again? But speaking of which, every time you come, you're always able to help others. We truly welcome tourists like you who are so kind-hearted. Nigel smiled a bit embarrassedly. Actually, I just love coming here. Due to the geographical location, many people suffer from altitude sickness. So I always bring extra oxygen tanks. That's about the only help I can offer. Haha, the police officer patted his shoulder. Oxygen tanks are life itself. This is already remarkable. Seeing how familiar they were with each other, Bella and I finally dispelled our doubts and traveled together with Nigel. He truly knew Tibet well, leading us to all the places we wanted to visit and helping us buy everything we wished to purchase. Bella and I also took some photos in traditional Tibetan costumes. With the deep blue sky reflecting our smiles, and all the pain in my heart completely disappeared. Even when Marius's name suddenly flooded into my mind, I felt somewhat distant from it. Adora's name was even harder to recall. Nigel really took good care of us. After the costume photo shoot, he helped us take pictures at all the other scenic spots. Most of them are photos of me and Bella, and there are also a few 3-person photos with him. When I visited the night market in the evening, I posted 2 sets of photos. One was a photo shoot, and the other was a group picture of 3 people at a scenic spot. Suddenly, the friend circle exploded. No way, when did you guys secretly go to Tibet without telling me? I want to go too. Why didn't you call me? You two are enjoying yourselves without me. Tibet is so beautiful, but your photo shoot looks even more stunning. They're absolutely gorgeous. I'm definitely going there for a shoot next time, as expected. The sky looks incredibly blue and so close. You guys must be having the time of your lives. The moment when the sun shines upon the Golden Mountain has been vividly brought to life. Don't drink raw water, be careful of hydatid disease, buy me some yak meat and milk tablets. Aya, wow, the man in the last photo is so handsome. Mom, you little brat, you're eating so well. Who is this guy? He's really handsome. Please introduce him to me, besides these colleagues and friends. Marius also liked it, perhaps because they had too many mutual friends. He didn't leave a comment, but he privately messaged me, sending dozens of messages. What's going on? Why did you go to Tibet? No wonder they said you took leave. Why didn't you tell me? Didn't we agree to go to Tibet together? How could you go there secretly by yourself? Who is that man? Is he your best friend's boyfriend? No, why is he standing next to you? Who exactly is he? What do you mean? Are you really breaking up with me? I didn't agree to that. You're still angry and throwing a breakup tantrum. So how can you smile so happily? Hurry back. Stop hanging out with that guy. I noticed he's in several of the scenic spot photos. You're still my girlfriend. Or else tell me your location and I'll book a ticket to come find you right now. Reply to me quickly. I'm going crazy. Seeing these messages, I curled my lips into a cold smile and still didn't respond. Bella leaned over to read all the information and laughed as well. It's a bit funny that he's only sending these now. He definitely saw Nigel standing next to you and got jealous. But Nigel really does look genuinely handsome, and he's clearly good to you. He's the only one he carries things for. Even though we're all girls, I can clearly tell he's different with you. I've seen him sneak glances at you many times. I gently patted her shoulder with one hand. Don't be ridiculous. We're just strangers who happen to meet. He's just very kind-hearted. Once we leave Tibet, we'll probably become strangers again. She laughed and ran away. Yes. Warm-hearted, but only warm-hearted towards you. Haha. Watching her retreating figure, I smiled. Turning around, I saw Nigel looking at me with a gentle smile, his eyes carrying a hint of something I couldn't quite understand. I quickly lowered my head and went after Bella. Our 7-day tour of Tibet was coming to an end. And Bella and I invited Nigel to dinner. When I went to settle the bill, I discovered that he had already paid. Throughout the evening, he kept serving me food, buying us water and snacks, and even purchased many local specialties to be delivered to our room. He stood at the guest room door, his eyes fixed intently on me. Charlotte, can you tell me which company you work for? I'll come find you later. My heart suddenly skipped a beat, but I still didn't tell him. Only thanked him for taking care of me these 7 days. Regardless of his intentions, I didn't want to reveal too much. Besides, I had just ended a relationship and was somewhat afraid of getting involved in another one, not daring to enter into a new relationship so easily. Seeing my such precautions, he didn't force the matter, only leaving with a trace of disappointment in his eyes. Bella, seeing me like this, was somewhat frustrated with my stubbornness. You really are. Nigel obviously wants to pursue you, yet you won't even tell him the truth. How heartless. I looked out at the bustling traffic and softly replied to her, just leaving that scumbag Marius. I can't trust anyone else anymore. Although he's not bad, we've only known each other for 7 days. I'm not stupid enough to fall into another relationship. She walked over and put her arm around my shoulder. That's true. This Tibet trip should help you let go, right? I nodded, of course. Not even a single strand. Before going to bed that evening, Marius's phone calls and WeChat messages kept coming non-stop, but I ignored them all. Early the next morning, Bella and I set off for home. After a good rest, I gathered my spirits and went back to work. As soon as Bella and I arrived at the company, we ran into Marius head-on. When he saw me, his eyes lit up and he rushed over to me in a single stride. Charlotte, you're back. Do you know how much I've missed you these past few days? I was going crazy. If you had told me your location, I would have come to find you long ago. I shook off his hand that was holding mine and glared at him coldly. Marius, we've already broken up. Don't come here anymore in the future. We have nothing to do with each other's marriages. He looked at his hand that I had shaken off, his eyes filled with hurt as he stared at me. Charlotte, look at me. These past few days I really couldn't eat or sleep. My mind was full of you. I've become so haggard, haven't you noticed? I looked at his face, stubbled with a heavy dark circle under his eyes, his gaze dull and indeed very haggard. Looking at this face I once liked, now there was only disgust left. You do look quite haggard, and not very good looking either. Marius stared up at me in shock, his face full of disbelief. You hate me now? I stared back at him steadily. Yes. Bella also glared at him hatefully and made a sound of disgust, in his stunned silence. We walked to our workstations and paid him no more attention. We had just sat down when we heard the colleagues next to us whispering in hushed, mysterious tones. I heard the manager who's parachuting in today will come to the company for the first time. I'm really curious what kind of person they'll be. Me too. I'm praying he's a handsome guy. Wasn't it already decided that Marius would be promoted to manager? Doesn't that mean there's no hope for me? I glanced at Marius, who was standing frozen in place. He had clearly heard it too, and looked as if he'd been struck by lightning, unable to move. Just then, the deputy manager from headquarters entered through the company's main entrance with several others. The person following behind him was none other than Nigel. A meeting was urgently convened, at which the deputy manager solemnly introduced to us, "This is Manager Chi from headquarters. From now on, our branch will be taken over by him." Both Bella and I were shocked. Seeing disbelief reflected in each other's eyes, Bella giggled secretly in my ear. "Charlotte, look, Nigel actually came to our company. Don't you think this is fate?" I lowered my head and lightly slapped the back of her hand. Saying nothing, when I looked up at Nigel, I discovered that he was also looking at me. My face suddenly flushed red, and I quickly turned my head away to avoid his gaze. The result, however, matched Marius's ashen face. He must have also recognized Nigel as the man in the photograph. In this short hour, he had not only lost me, but also lost his chance for promotion. No wonder his face looked so terrible. After the meeting ended, Nigel called out to me as I was about to leave, "Charlotte, stay behind. Everyone else can go back to work." In an instant, everyone stopped in their tracks, all shocked that Manager Chi could call out my name when he had only been at the company for less than an hour. Bella exited with a mysterious smile, and the other colleagues had no choice but to leave as well, but Marius didn't. He was still staring at me fixedly in the conference room. Nigel glanced at him in confusion and asked politely, "What's your name? Why aren't you leaving?" Marius's face was already showing irritation, but he didn't dare speak out in anger. He could only suppress his displeasure and hold back his breath, refusing to say his name. "Then I'll go out first. Charlotte, I'll wait for you outside." I ignored him. After he left, Nigel walked over to me, stared at me intently, and suddenly smiled. "Miss Lin, you see how fate works its wonders. Even if you hadn't told your company, I would still have found my way to you." I looked up at him sharply. "Manager, please don't joke with me like this, okay? I have no heart for romance right now. If you keep joking around like this, I might just take you seriously." Nigel glanced at Marius outside the conference room door. "You seemed somewhat melancholy and downcast in Tibet at times, as if your soul had wandered off. Was it because of him?" I looked at his face in shock, and my mind went completely blank. He actually figured it out, while I myself hadn't noticed. Seeing my reaction, he smiled. "It looks like I guessed right. Don't worry, my feelings for you are genuine, but I won't use my position to pressure you. I'll pursue you properly until you say yes." Me. He laughed again. All right, I'll stop teasing you. You should hurry up and go to work. I'll drive you home after your shift ends tonight." Me. By the time I reached my workstation, I was still completely dazed. Nigel had shaken me to the core. He not only likes me, but has also become my boss. And now he's pursuing me. Any one of these things would be shocking to me. I was so lost in thought that I didn't even notice when Marius stood beside me. Seeing that I didn't react for a long time, he angrily threw out a wait for me after work and left. I came back to my senses and watched his retreating figure, then silently cursed under my breath. Idiot. After work, I remembered that both of them had said they would walk with me, but I didn't want either of them to. So I had no choice but to sneak away by myself. But I didn't expect that as soon as I stepped out of the company building, Marius grabbed aside and questioned me. "Charlotte, you've got some nerve, don't you? I told you to walk with me, and you just left on your own. What are you still angry about? I've come to you humbly now. What more do you want? I've already decided to keep some distance from Adora, and try not to fool around with her anymore. Is that fine with you? Besides, even if I did play around with Adora, you took a photo with Manager Chi too, so we're even." My brain short-circuited a bit as I looked at him with a confused expression and asked, "Adora, who is that?" I really didn't mean to ask him that. I just genuinely couldn't remember for a moment. Marius was stunned, staring at me in disbelief. "Adora, you've forgotten. You, Charlotte, you really don't love me anymore. Otherwise, how could you have even forgotten Adora?" I suddenly let out an "ah." "I remember now, she's the female buddy who was fooling around with you, right? She must really love you. You two are together. I'll leave first." But I was pulled back by Marius after just one step. "Charlotte, you really don't love me anymore. You can't do this to me. I haven't let go, and I never will." I turned back to look at him, my eyes devoid of any emotion. "Marius, do I look like I still love you? Do you see any trace of you left in my eyes?" "Nothing left. From the day Adora ran up to the altar to propose, there's been nothing. So please, don't come bothering me anymore. I just want to live my life in peace." Marius refused to believe it. However, he grabbed me forcefully, pulled me into his arms and held me tightly, then lifted my chin forcefully to kiss me. "Charlotte, Don't go, you can only be mine, mine. I never agreed to break up. A wave of nausea surged in my heart, and I struggled desperately to break free, but his grip was too tight. I couldn't escape, so I could only keep my mouth tightly shut and shake my head left and right to avoid his kiss. Just when I felt like my jaw was about to be bruised from his grip, Marius's face was suddenly punched aside, and then I was pulled away by a force, landing in a tall man's arms. A familiar shout rang out from above. Marius, isn't it? You're openly harassing others. I'm calling the police. Still shaken, I looked up to see Nigel's face flushed with anger. My eyes immediately reddened. Tears nearly falling, Nigel looked at me and comforted me, saying, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Marius completely exploded, covering his mouth with his hand and looking at me with bloodshot eyes. "Charlotte, have you fallen for him? But I'm the one who loves you. You can't like someone else, and besides, you've only known each other for such a short time. What if he's a scumbag, a liar?" I looked at him and curled my lips into a cold smile. "I don't know if Manager Chi is a scumbag or not. But I already know that you are. He was only protecting his subordinate. It had nothing to do with romantic love. Please don't make assumptions. Besides, I've already told you that our future marriages will have nothing to do with each other. You can marry Adora, and whether or not I marry, or whom I marry, is none of your concern. If you harass me again, I really will have you locked up." Marius immediately shot back. He wasn't protecting his subordinate, he was looking at you the way a man looks at a woman he's infatuated with. "Don't try to fool me." At that moment, Nigel spoke in a cold voice. "Since Charlotte doesn't like you, stop. You're not mistaken. When I was traveling in Tibet, I fell in love with Charlotte at first sight. Everything about her aligns perfectly with my aesthetic. Clearly, you've hurt her before, but that's fine. You're already in the past. Her future will only be with me. This time I can let you go, but I won't give you another chance to harass her." Marius was stunned, panic flashing across his face. "What are you going to do? Don't even think about using your position to make things difficult for me." Nigel just sneered. "You're thinking too little of me." After saying that, without another word, he pulled me into his arms and walked toward his Maybach, speeding away under Marius's gaze, filled with anger, shock, and sadness. Sitting in Nigel's car, my mind was completely blank, not knowing where I was or what I was supposed to do. It wasn't until he dropped me off downstairs that I came to my senses. "You actually know where I live?" Nigel leaned in to undo my seatbelt. A hint of weird atmosphere flowing through the air, but after finishing, he just gave me a deep look before smiling and explaining, "I got your information from HR, so now I know everything about you." He gently stroked my hair, looking at me with doting eyes. "You should go up now. From now on, I'll be the one to pick you up and drop you off for work, so you won't be targeted by others." Just as I was about to refuse, he pressed his index finger against my lips. "No refusal allowed. For your own safety, you have to agree." Thinking about Marius's actions just now, I was indeed frightened, so I could only nod in agreement. He smiled happily, his thumb stroking my face as he said in a deep voice, "You can take your time to get to know me. I have all the patience and time in the world." My face suddenly flushed red, and I quickly opened the car door and rushed upstairs. Thinking about everything that had happened today, I hadn't slept well all night. As soon as I arrived at the company the next day, I heard my colleagues whispering among themselves, not knowing what they were talking about, until Bella ran over and secretly told me, "Charlotte, did you know, Marius isn't going to be working here anymore starting today?" I didn't understand. "Why?" She looked at me mysteriously. "You don't know, last night, Manager Chi made an emergency personnel adjustment, and transferred Marius to work overseas, unless he resigns. I thought he won't be back for at least 10 years, but the salary there is quite good, so he might not be willing to quit." I was stunned. Nigel actually sent Marius away, so that's what he meant last night. Just then, Marius suddenly sent me a WeChat message. "Charlotte, I deeply regret letting you suffer and not supporting you back then. Because of that one time, I lost you. I finally understand why my previous girlfriend and you broke up with me. It turns out that Adora deliberately used these tactics to drive you both away. I misjudged people badly. I owe you both an apology. I hope you both find better partners in the future, like Nigel, for instance. I can see that he really treats you well. Although I still want to win you back, I know it's impossible. So I can only keep you deeply in my heart and wish you happiness." I didn't reply. I don't need his blessing, nor do I care for it. Lifting my head to look at the manager's office, I happened to meet Nigel's affectionate gaze, tinged with a faint, unreadable smile. My heart skipped a beat once again. Although I might not end up with him in the future, at least the feeling right now isn't bad. After all, who knows what the future holds? 1 year later, I suddenly heard news of Marius from a mutual friend. The engineering project he was stationed at had problems. When he went to inspect it, He stepped into empty air on the external scaffolding and fell. Although he didn't die, he lost both legs and would have to rely on a wheelchair for the rest of his life. When I heard this news, apart from feeling a pang of sighs, I had no other feelings. Nigel looked at me and asked with a smile, "What's wrong?" I told him the news in a casual manner. He was surprised for a moment, then returned to normal. "So you see, one shouldn't be too much of a scoundrel when you hurt people. Karma will eventually catch up with you. Unlike me, I've only ever had eyes for you in this lifetime, not seeing anyone else at all." I laughed and punched him in the chest. "You're always teasing me." He grabbed my hand and pleaded with me. "Come on, Charlotte. When will you agree to let me pursue you and take me home to meet your parents? I'm begging you." I smiled as I looked at him. "Let's take another look, shall we?" He looked on the verge of tears, full of grievance. All right. I'll keep trying." End. Story 2. Ollie only drinks black coffee, but every time we travel together for work, I bring him a cup of bubble tea. Colleagues tease him about changing his ways, but he just rubs the characters Yuan Yang on the cup and quietly says thank you to me. I lower my head to sip my own cup, secretly happy inside. This is our unspoken little secret, known to no one else, as his girlfriend of 5 years. He used the excuse of avoiding office romance gossip to forbid me from going public. I had grown accustomed to keeping my distance from him at the office. Handing him documents had to be done with professional detachment. Every message in the group chat had to be carefully worded, and even entering his office required coming up with various excuses, until that day, when the intern Diana handed him a cup of bubble tea in front of everyone, with a clumsily drawn heart on the cup in marker. He took it from her with such natural ease, even casually ruffling her hair. Diana tugged at his sleeve, coquettishly saying, "Mr. Ollie, I deliberately used less sugar, try it." Only then did I realize that avoiding impropriety was a rule meant only for me. That evening, I submitted my resignation and bought a one-way ticket home. The station broadcast announced the boarding call, and I stood in the waiting hall, gazing deeply at the city where I had lived for 5 years, because Ollie is still here. The thought of leaving first emerged at the end of last year. During the year-end financial review, the company distributed bonuses based on projects, that important project which I led from start to finish, just because, during the final stage, I let the new intern assist with the follow-up tasks. During the final evaluation, 90% of the project bonus was allocated to her. That was clearly the result of my hard work over more than 2 months. Mr. Owen looked at me with a troubled expression. "Ms. Ethel, this is Mr. Ollie's arrangement. That intern junior was someone I exceptionally arranged to join the project. My original intention was to mentor a junior and give her a chance to showcase her abilities. I never expected that 2 months of my hard work would ultimately benefit someone else." Mr. Owen said helplessly. Mr. Ollie emphasized the importance of rewarding outstanding newcomers like Diana. Diana is that intern junior. And Ollie is my partner of 5 years. The platform wind was bitingly cold as I stood at the designated carriage, deleting all the photos of us from my phone one by one. Ollie always emphasized that office romance violates company policy, so our 5-year relationship has always been kept in the dark. These photos were only kept after I persistently begged for them, and I was never allowed to share them on social media. He deliberately kept his distance to the point where everyone thought he despised me. Even when he arbitrarily transferred my project bonus, my colleagues thought it was only natural. Deleting the photos brought back memories of the day the bonuses were distributed. I suppressed my anger and called him in the hallway, only to be hung up on again. For 5 years, he has almost never answered my work calls, but a message immediately popped up, busy, but this time it wasn't for personal matters. I went straight to his top-floor office. Through the glass partition, I saw him leaning over to explain the plan to Diana. As the girl leaned in, the fringe of her scarf gently brushed against his neck. At such a young age, he was already in charge of the K-City branch, and in just a few years, he had earned the admiration of the New York headquarters. His abilities were truly outstanding. I once longed for his guidance too, but I was always impatiently refused. Learn these basics on your own. I'm very busy. When I made mistakes at work and faced punishment, he never intervened. You learn from your mistakes. Now, however, he is willing to patiently explain the basics to Diana, who doesn't even know how to use pivot tables. On his desk lies the lunchbox I prepare with love every day. To avoid suspicion, I can only have the cafeteria lady deliver it for me. "Mr. Ollie, I didn't have breakfast. I'm so hungry. Can I have your lunchbox? I'll treat you to lunch at noon." Diana pointed at my lunchbox. "Take it." He continued processing emails without looking up. Diana happily opened the lunchbox and praised the beef brisket after tasting it. I suddenly felt there was no need to question Ollie about why the performance was allocated this way. As I turned to leave, The entire building suddenly lost power. The heavy rain led the company to issue an emergency notice for working from home, while going downstairs in the dark. I happened to see two figures walking side by side in the rain. Ollie held an umbrella, carefully shielding Diana as they walked toward his car. I returned home looking like a drowned rat, all disheveled, and Ollie's call came through as well. "Ethel," he said on the phone, "thought you should have brought an umbrella. Are you home yet?" In the background, Diana was asking whether to add shredded ginger to the ginger tea. "I switched to tomato and beef brisket today." I gripped the phone tightly. "Does it suit your taste?" It's all right," he replied absent-mindedly. After hanging up, I saw Diana's new WeChat Moments post. In a room filled with warm light, two hands clinking glasses. "It feels so good to be favored." The train slowly pulled into the station, and I boarded the carriage with my suitcase. Faint shouts echoing behind me. Maybe it's calling me, or maybe it's not. But I refused to look back. This journey back home, starting from the southern city. First stops at City H, and the story of me and Ollie also began in City H. That was the first time I was solely responsible for the bidding project in City H. The subway system is down, the taxi queue has over 400 people, and I'm about to miss the deadline. In desperation, I contacted Mr. Owen, who grumbled and tossed me Ollie's number, telling me to ask him for help. On the other end of the line, Ollie listened to my trembling plea and sighed softly. "Don't worry, wait for me where you are." In the pouring rain, he sped all the way, calming my panic while reminding me to always leave plenty of time in the future. I finally submitted the bid document just in time, covered in cold sweat. He leaned against the car and handed me a steaming cup of coffee. That night, I posted a status visible only to him. "In this rainy day, I met a tender-hearted God." He silently gave a like. Now, I also liked Diana's social media post. A minute later, that post disappeared. Ollie quickly called to test the waters. "I'm on my way back," I replied calmly, just telling him to be careful on the road. He seemed to let out a sigh of relief. "You should also be careful not to catch a cold." "Ollie," I suddenly spoke up, "this new year, can we tell my parents about us?" He has always been reluctant to go public, always saying the timing isn't right. "Forget it," he said in a low voice. "They're pushing for marriage so hard, let's not complicate things, okay?" I smiled and hung up the phone. The high fever after getting caught in the rain came on suddenly, and for the first time ever, I took a taxi to the office. While staring blankly out the window, Ollie's car sped past in front of my eyes. My place is actually quite close to his, but in the past, picking me up meant taking the congested Ugia Avenue, which would be jammed for half an hour, so I never expected him to give me a ride along the way, and he was happy to avoid the inconvenience. It wasn't until today that I realized the road had been repaired for over half a year, and driving here only takes 10 minutes. It turns out, all this time, he passed by my door every day but never once offered me a lift, and today, the direction he came from was Diana's Chingfeng residential area. It wasn't on the way at all, it was a special trip. After arriving at the company, I put on a fever-reducing patch and buried myself in organizing the handover documents. Until a familiar yet rarely seen figure appeared. Ollie frowned. "Why didn't you say you were sick?" "I'm not looking up. What's the point of saying it? You wouldn't take care of me like other boyfriends do." Catching sight of colleagues arriving one after another, I lowered my voice. "Hurry and go. Aren't you the most afraid of being seen?" He was silent for a moment, then turned and left. The second stop of the train is City Y. My connection with Ollie also has some ties to City Y. At that time, I had just become a full-time employee and accompanied Mr. Owen and Ollie to City Y to finalize the project contract. The night before the signing, after reviewing the bidding proposal, we went out for a late-night snack. In the darkness, several masked individuals suddenly rushed out, targeting Ollie with ruthless and precise attacks. Mr. Owen called the police while shouting for help. If Ollie got hurt, the next day's contract signing would definitely fall through. Without thinking twice, I grabbed a brick from the roadside and charged forward. In the end, both of us ended up getting beaten. Just as the blade was about to strike Ollie's head, I lunged forward and blocked it with my arm. He held me as we tumbled to the ground, and before I lost consciousness, the only sound left in my ears was the piercing wail of sirens. When I woke up again, he was the only one in the hospital room. "Was it worth it?" He stared at me. "Were you willing to throw your life away? I can't just watch you get into trouble." My voice was faint. "You helped me last time, now it's my turn to help you." When I lowered my head, I realized he was holding my hand. This scene felt familiar, and I froze. "Mr. Ollie, call me by my name," he said softly. On the day I was discharged from the hospital. It was supposed to be the company sending a car, but he came to pick me up himself. He took me to the lakeside in City H, his gaze as gentle as the shimmering water. I've thought about it for a long time, the girl who took a knife for me. If she's willing to come to me, I will cherish her dearly. The sunset dyed the lake red. I reached out and hugged him, and he lowered his head to kiss my forehead. At that time, he looked at my wound with heartache in his eyes, but later, when he saw me wearing a fever-reducing patch, he only frowned. The handover documents were sorted out, and a colleague reminded me to check the workgroup chat. In the new project group, Mr. Owen added Ollie, who only sent one comment: "The project is nearing completion. Full responsibility is handed over to Diana." My colleagues were secretly watching me, waiting to see my reaction. Everyone knew Ollie disliked me, but this arrangement was truly humiliating, yet I only replied with "received." "Fine, it'll make the handover easier." I forwarded all the materials to Diana, then submitted a sick leave request, which was approved instantly. I also left the resignation letter on the desk. The third stop is City E Station. City E is where Ollie and I took our last trip together. At that time, his appointment announcement was about to be published, and I was very happy for him. We were soaking in the City E hot springs, which are long renowned. The owner said that couples who take photos and post them on social media to check in, collecting 30 likes, would receive complimentary internal tickets for the nearby Ferris wheel. You wouldn't have to wait in line and could directly ride the Ferris wheel to the top. Legend has it that if a couple kisses at the highest point of a Ferris wheel, they will be happy together for life and never part. I wanted to post a grouped WeChat moment. Ollie wouldn't let me. The company strictly forbids office romances. You know that. I know. I set up a group, so colleagues won't see it. Have you never heard of the 6 degrees of separation theory? Every 6 people are connected. No, the risk is too great. Later, we bought tickets and went to the amusement park. But the lines were too long, and we couldn't get on the Ferris wheel. Seeing my disappointment, he comforted me. "Ethel, it's precisely because I love you that I want to protect you and safeguard our love. Will you join me in protecting our love?" I naively agreed, and thus began 5 years of struggling alone. Compared to all the hardships over those 5 years, the high fever that day was nothing. After submitting my resignation letter, I returned home to pack my luggage, waiting to catch the bus late at night. But the door suddenly opened. Ollie changed into slippers and approached. "Why is so much stuff missing at home?" He was holding a bunch of porridge and soup, looking around, just doing a big cleanup for the new year. I coughed. He placed the items in his hands on the coffee table in front of me and paused noticeably as he untied the bag. "Where are our photos?" I had placed our Polaroid photos together on various corners of the house, like the coffee table, dining table, and bookshelf. I closed my eyes. A couple of colleagues came over to hang out the other day, so I put them away. He helped me sit up and handed me the chopsticks. I looked at the table full of light porridge and fresh soup but had no appetite at all. "Don't want to eat." He sat beside me, reaching out to hug me. "Then have some warm water first." I turned away to avoid him, and his phone rang. Diana's voice was panicked. "Mr. Ollie, I can't find the engineering acceptance sign-off form for the Tech City project. What should I do?" He stood up. "Wait, I'm coming over." His gaze returned to all business as he looked at me. "Is this how you hand things over?" He didn't even wait for me to explain before grabbing his coat and heading out the door. Just as he had countless times before, he left me behind for work. It's just that this time it made me seem even more ridiculous. The folder and file cabinet numbers for the sign-in sheets were clearly written on the last page of the handover document. Diana made the PowerPoint for this project. She knows it better than anyone. Sure enough, before long, Ollie's message came through. "Found it. You wrote it very clearly." Then came a transfer. Exactly the amount of my missing performance bonus. I clicked to refund it. He sent a helpless emoji. "You rest first, I'm going to a meeting." He has a video conference with the New York headquarters at this time every Friday and won't check his phone for 3 or 4 hours. I sent the last message, "Let's break up." I blocked him. Then called the landlady to cancel the lease. The 4th stop is City S Station, where I transfer, and I'll be home in 2 more stops. The train was delayed at this moment, expected to be over an hour late. I wasn't in a hurry, so I found a small shop to pass the time. City S also has a branch of the company downtown. In the past, Ollie and I often came here together for meetings, usually with 2 cars carrying 6 or 7 people. No one could tell there was anything ambiguous between us. I gradually began to stand out under Mr. Owen's leadership. Because Ollie is strict with people, they all advised me to learn how to flatter. I took the advice and proactively bought milk tea, handing it to him with a serious expression. "Is it bubble tea?" he asked as he took it. "Yes," I smiled. "Mr. Ollie only drinks coffee, doesn't he?" Mr. Owen laughed. "Changed your taste as soon as you arrived in City S." Ollie didn't speak, his index finger gently tracing the characters for bubble tea, and nodded to me. "Thank you." I briskly returned to my seat, picked up my own cup, hid a smile, and slowly sipped. This is the secret intimacy that belongs solely to us, an undercurrent of turbulence beneath a composed exterior. So later, when I saw him take the Diana S milk tea, I must have been stunned. I had just finished ordering and sat down, only to take out my phone when Mr. Owen's messages came flooding in. You want to resign? Is it because of the project performance issue? You're a veteran. You should have the capacity to tolerate. Mr. Ollie saw it too. He tore it up right in front of you and stormed off in anger. I was annoyed and blocked him without a second thought. Right after that, the landlord called. Hey, dear, your boyfriend went to the apartment about 3 or 4 hours ago. My daughter-in-law was there, so I found out. I thought I should let you know. Ollie must have seen the message after the meeting and found out I'm resigning. He renewed the lease on the apartment, saying you'd be back. The landlord continued. My daughter-in-law said he went through the drawers, grabbed his car keys, and stormed out. Sweetie, it's the new year, don't get into a fight. Okay, I couldn't help but laugh. How could we even fight? I'd long lost the energy for that. The phone indicates that calls from the blacklist have been blocked, 99 plus. I didn't check to see who it was. I sipped my milk tea while watching a movie, and when I figured it was about time, I stood up to head to the waiting area. Just then, the shop attendant called out to a new customer. What would you like to drink, sir? Bubble tea, milk tea. A familiar voice rang out in the bustling shop, and I looked up, with a livid expression. Ollie stood there, snow covering his shoulders. Answering her through almost gritted teeth. What, isn't it too sweet for Mr. Ollie? I shrugged and pulled my suitcase, ready to leave. Then he snatched the suitcase with one hand and dragged me out of the milk tea shop with the other. Unfortunately, the Spring Festival travel rush had the waiting hall packed shoulder to shoulder, leaving almost no quiet spot for this guy to vent his anger. He pulled me toward the exit. Let's talk outside. This exit is exit only, so I dug my heels in. We can talk right here. He had no choice but to stop in a less crowded corner, slamming his suitcase down with a thud, the veins on his forehead visibly bulging. Ethel, what do you mean by this? I'm going home for the new year. I glanced at the red delayed notice on the departure screen. I went straight to the station after leaving your place. His eyes were bloodshot. I called out to you. Didn't you hear me? Still using that bossy tone. No, I shook my head. If the train was delayed as expected, maybe he really would have caught up with me. It was all fate. I drove all the way here at top speed. The snow on his shoulders had melted, leaving a damp patch. If this train hadn't been delayed, were you just planning to disappear like that? Then what else? I sighed. I went home. It's not like I died. You're angry because I misunderstood that you didn't handle the handover properly. Right. He grabbed my hand. Every time we had a fierce argument, he would trace the source back to that one trivial matter that sparked it. He clearly knew that was just the tip of the iceberg, the final straw on the camel's back. I shook him off. Mr. Ollie, I've already resigned. This is the last time I'll call you that. I hope you can show some decency, resignation, dignity. He let out a cold laugh. I haven't approved your resignation, nor have I agreed to the breakup. But it seems like both of these are decisions I can make unilaterally, I said. Pulling up my suitcase. Do you want to meet in arbitration court, or do you not care about passing a background check? He threatened from behind me. Suit yourself. I shook my head indifferently. I don't plan on returning to City N anyway. He blocked my way again, fury brimming in his eyes. Are you serious? I spread my hands. I'm serious. You like Diana. I'm giving you freedom. Aren't you going to thank me? He grabbed my arm again, pulling me a step closer. I don't like her. Then his eyes softened with emotion. Ethel, are you jealous? You're this angry because of the performance review, aren't you? I struggled to break free from him, pointing at the nearby patrol. If you keep this up, I'll scream. But he yanked me into his arms, holding my own girlfriend. What law am I breaking? He held me tightly just like before, letting my chin rest on his shoulder. It's my fault. I should have helped you. I tried desperately to push him away but was no match for his strength. Just as I was about to shout, the broadcast announcement began. Hello passengers. The G946 train has begun boarding. The passengers who had been waiting in despair suddenly perked up, and the crowd quickly pushed toward us. He was bumped by a passenger carrying a large gift box, and his grip loosened. I seized the chance to pull away and quickly disappeared into the crowd to board. He tried to stop me again. But I slipped into the most chaotic part of the line. He was immediately mistaken for someone trying to cut in and was met with a collective backlash. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Having finally made it to the ticket checkpoint, I reached into my pocket only to realize that both my ID card and phone were missing. Turning around, Ollie stood far outside the line, smiling at me. I took a deep breath and hurried over. Are you in third grade? Give them back. He hurried toward the exit. If you want it, come and get it. This felt like second grade all over again, and I chased after him. He strode straight toward the parking lot, his steps so long I had to rush just to keep up. "Give it back," I cried, frantic as the final boarding announcement echoed over the intercom. "You changed the lock screen and the password too." He stood by the car, looking at my phone. My previous lock screen was a photo of our backs at an amusement park, which looked so much like a stock image that he graciously allowed me to use it. Now I've changed it to a picture of my pet dog, and the password has been switched from his birthday to my dog's. "Get in the car." He opened the passenger door. "I'll take you home." I reached out, my patience wearing thin. "Ollie, are you trying to seize someone else's property?" He pushed me into the passenger seat, leaned over to hold me down with one hand while pulling the seatbelt to buckle it with the other. He leaned in, looking at my furious face. "Go ahead, call the police, file a lawsuit. You can spend this spring festival tangled up with me." During the peak travel period of the spring festival, the highway was bustling with speeding cars, yet inside the vehicle, silence reigned. I felt relieved after confirming we were heading home, then turned away to catch up on sleep. "Has the fever gone down?" He suddenly spoke up. "There are fever patches under the car door." I didn't say anything, just turned to look at the scenery outside the window. He was driving fast, and it reminded me of when we first met. He had driven me just like this to a bidding event. "There's still time." He gazed ahead on the road. I looked at him, the sunlight highlighting his tall nose and long, lowered lashes, the very image I've loved for so long. I knew he was also thinking of our first meeting, which was why he offered such an unexpected word of comfort. But this time, "It's too late, Ollie." The journey was silent, with only his phone ringing incessantly until he finally pressed the power button to turn it off. "Just stop here," I said at the intersection. "I'll walk you to the door." He shook his head. I didn't ask how he knew my home address. He must have seen it on my employment registration form. Aunt 3 and Uncle 4's cars were parked downstairs, and I groaned inwardly. "I'll go up first," I said, taking back my phone and ID card. "You can go back." He got out of the car and took down my suitcase for me. "I'm not going back, I'm on annual leave." "Suit yourself," I said, turning to go up the steps. "Aren't you going to invite me up?" he asked from behind me, his tone uncharacteristically gentle. If this had happened a few years ago, I would have been over the moon if he drove me home and asked to come upstairs. "Relatives are all here." I unlocked the building in trance. Let's not complicate things. I didn't notice if he stayed put or not, it didn't matter anymore. "Today is Mom's birthday." I told my family I was taking annual leave to come back and celebrate Mom's birthday. Naturally, the house was warm and lively, with Mom's homemade sausages glistening with oil, and a whole army of fried hairtail fish lying in the bamboo basket. But when my third aunt and fourth aunt, along with their husbands, joined the marriage-pressuring brigade, I started to feel a bit overwhelmed. "How about going to the restaurant for dinner tonight? I got my year-end bonus, so I'll treat my aunts." I employed the tactic of shortening the mouth that eats others' food. "Great idea. Ethel is really becoming more and more sensible." Third aunt laughed. "This is showing concern for your mom's cooking. Let's go, let's go." Several new young guys just joined my workplace. Fourth aunt pushed me. "I'll tell you all about it during dinner." I cursed her inwardly, but Mom noticed my expression and quickly whispered for me not to be ungrateful. I haven't had hometown cuisine in a long time, so I eagerly picked up a piece of braised pork belly covered with preserved mustard greens. Isn't it inconvenient to rush for high-speed trains? "When you get married, have your mom give you a car as a dowry," Aunt San suddenly said. I had no choice but to put down the pork belly. "Aunt San, are you moonlighting as a car salesperson at a 4S store?" "Ethel, come take a look at this young man." Aunt Sai enthusiastically brought over her phone. "He just started working last month. They're joining a workplace, not a matchmaking agency." I stared at the savory braised pork in my bowl. "Since when did you become so sharp-tongued?" Mom put down her chopsticks. "If you don't get married and have kids soon, no one will burn Joss paper for you after you're gone. Then I'll burn plenty for you both, and when I join you down there, you can share some with me," I said softly. "You." My mom slammed her chopsticks on the table. If it weren't for the server pushing the door open to serve the dishes, she probably would have smashed the braised pork right on my head. The roasted suckling pig was juicy and rich. The king crab had thin shells and thick meat, the Boston lobster was waving its claws menacingly, and the iron-capped moutai stood out with its glaring red label. "Ethel." Third aunt was stunned. "Why are you being so polite?" My first reaction was to call the server over. This was the wrong order. Why should I treat these marriage-obsessed maniacs to such a feast? Before I could speak, the waiter handed me the receipt. "Manager Ethel, this is the receipt for your payment just now." Then the waiter said to them in a monotone voice, "Manager Ethel just said, since we're all family, it's hard for her to speak directly, but the elders really don't need to worry about her. Then he clenched a roll of red bills in his palm and left, leaving us petrified. Manager Ethel. Mom looked at me puzzled, yet her eyes held a hint of pride. Keep your comments to yourselves. The wine-loving third uncle set up the liquor dispenser. Ethel has made it this far. Do you really think she'd settle for what you've picked out? I snapped back to reality. You all go ahead and eat. I need to step out for a moment. Ollie stood under the camphor tree outside the door, leaning against the car as he handed me a cup of milk tea. I'll transfer it to you. I didn't take the milk tea, glanced at the receipt, and took out my phone. You've blocked me on all accounts. How are you going to send it? He raised an eyebrow. Unblock me. I have your bank card number. I opened the app, but he pressed down on my phone. Ethel, it's been 5 years. Do you have to be this distant? And what's more, he glanced at fourth uncle's car. I hate what they said to you. Eavesdropping. It's not like you. Don't do it again. I smiled helplessly, opening the banking app. I realized he had transferred a large sum of money to my personal account not long ago, with a note saying year-end bonus. I transferred the money back to him along with the meal expenses, then turned and left. He placed the coffee on the roof of the car and grabbed me. What are you still angry about? If it's about the year-end bonus, I've multiplied it by 10 for you. Isn't that enough? Yes, it's not enough. I bit my lip hard and stared at him. A glimmer of hope flickered in his eyes. Then how much do you want? I want you to never appear in front of me again. I struggled to pry his fingers off me. Mr. Ollie, it's Diana, and his secretary, Ray. The moment I saw someone from the company, I instinctively wanted to keep at least 3 feet away from him. But instead of letting go and stepping aside as usual, he pulled me closer to his side and waved for Ray to stop the car. Why are you here too? He frowned as he looked at Diana. The secretary said he was coming to deliver the contract for you to sign, so I took leave and tagged along. Diana spotted me and greeted me warmly. Ms. Ethel. You're here too, so City C is your hometown. Any delicious food recommendations? You took leave. I also frowned. The Tech City project still needs someone responsible to keep an eye on it these 2 days. Then I snapped out of it. What does this have to do with me anymore? I tried to pull my hand away. Ollie, but he stubbornly refused to let go. Diana noticed it too, and she asked with some confusion, Mr. Ollie, Ms. Ethel, are you two arguing? Yes. We have some disagreements over a plan and are arguing quite intensely. I forced a smile and shot him a warning look. Even after leaving the job, I didn't want to become the subject of office gossip about a love triangle. Ollie glanced at me but still held my hand tightly to his chest. Yeah, my girlfriend is angry. Isn't that what I'm trying to soothe right now? The most surprised was Ray, who widened his eyes holding the contract and a pen. Mr. Ollie, Ms. Ethel, I'll wait for you in the car. He then reacted swiftly and retreated into the vehicle, steering clear of the conflict. I saw it coming a long time ago, Diana said with a smile in her eyes. But Ms. Ethel submitted her resignation. Did you two break up? Was it you who saw the resignation letter first? Ollie looked at her coldly. Yes, she smiled brightly. But my rank isn't high enough to view it, so I just left it there waiting for Mr. Owen to go in. You knew all along. I looked at her. I always thought she only saw Ollie as single and just had a normal crush. It seems I underestimated the situation. Yeah, senior, she smiled at me. When you truly like someone, you can recognize their back at a glance. It was my previous lock screen, Mr. Ollie. Her long eyelashes fluttered like 2 small palm leaf fans. Please don't be angry. Let's go stroll through City C Ancient Street. Diana, he looked at her, suppressing some anger. You should have immediately submitted the resignation letter to your superior when you saw it. But I'm not HR, she said innocently. You were in a meeting with New York and gave strict orders not to be disturbed. Seeing his anger, she stepped forward to tug at his arm. Don't be mad. Didn't you say you could teach me many things slowly? Ollie wanted to push her, so he let go of me. Seizing the chance, I immediately turned and went upstairs. My parents will be looking for me, I said. You two can act out this drama yourselves. Don't forget about Ray. As I pushed open the private room door, I glanced sideways and saw through the glass downstairs. Ollie pushing Diana into the car. The empty parking space was the blank space left in their story. I turned my head away, thinking there should still be a few pieces of braised pork with preserved mustard greens left. At night, the small milk tea group chat with a few colleagues exploded, frantically tagging me. Holy crap. Ethel, you've been hiding your skills. You quietly snagged Mr. Ollie. I used to see Mr. Ollie always scolding you in meetings. I thought he didn't like you. Turns out it's a love-hate relationship. Holy crap. Here's the pen. You write their story. I was stunned until they sent me a screenshot of Ollie's social media post. You can't even see your own boyfriend's official announcement. To be honest, the company seems quite against this sort of thing. Did you two plan for one of you to resign? He only posted one photo, my sleeping face. taken not long ago when I was catching up on sleep at my desk after pulling an all-nighter. The caption was simple: together till our hair turns white, going and returning side by side. I don't know whether to be surprised by when he secretly took that photo of me, or by his sudden public reveal. We've broken up, and I've resigned, I replied in the group chat. Holy crap. I saw you left the main group and thought you were playing hardball with Mr. Owen over the year-end bonus. No way, it's already a bad ending. Wait, is it because of Diana? She's been pestering Mr. Ollie a lot lately. This is so dramatic. I put down my phone, my mind in turmoil, and dialed Ollie's number. He answered instantly. Ethel, what do you mean? I walked to the balcony, lowering my voice. Giving everyone melons for Valentine's Day. Haven't you always wanted this? He said, confused on the other end of the line. I did it, after I resigned. Right, I sneered. I told you, I didn't approve your resignation. He also suppressed his anger. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Aren't you scared anymore? I said, dripping with sarcasm. Ethel, he said into the phone, his voice trembling. What do I have to do to make you stop being angry? We've already broken up, I said through gritted teeth. Your behavior is causing me trouble. You're still angry about the Diana thing, aren't you? He replied, avoiding the question. I made everything clear to her that day. I hung up the phone. Messages in the group chat kept coming in. Diana's call also came through. I hung up. She called again, and I finally answered impatiently. What do you want to say, senior? She sobbed on the other end, but her tone refused to back down. I know you really want to break up, but I won't let go. Do you think forcing Mr. Ollie to warn me will make me give up? I will definitely win him over. Good luck with that. I skillfully blocked her. Still couldn't escape the fate of becoming gossip, but soon there will be new topics to overshadow it. People, the worst thing is to take themselves too seriously. I adjusted my mindset and fell into a deep sleep in the freshly changed bedding, breathing in the fragrant scent of sunshine. The next day, it suddenly began to snow. I woke up to a bright light outside the window. And when I pulled back the curtains, sure enough, snow was falling like cotton fluff, and frost had formed on the roof tiles. Ethel, I heard you on the balcony talking on the phone late last night. My mom leaned in. Are you seeing someone? No, I said, shoveling fried rice into my mouth, just discussing a project with a colleague. She gave me a look that said I know what's up and added, just make sure you manage the pace yourself. I had no choice but to leave. Afraid that she and my aunts would launch another round of marriage pressure tactics, so I grabbed my laptop and slipped out. I deliberately stayed out until after dinner, only to find my parents both on the balcony watching the fireworks. Is it pretty? Is it pretty? I put down the takeout skewers and joined them. The ground, blanketed in white snow, reflected the dazzling fireworks. The sky was brilliantly lit, filled with the festive clamor of a New Year celebration that seemed to stretch to the heavens. Amid the scattered brilliance, the characters Forsway and Anne were clearly pieced together. Whose wish is this? And it just happens to be our Ethel's name. Mom clapped her hands. You're bound to have good luck in the year of the snake. Look how perfect it is. Dad laughed along. My heart sank, and sure enough, I caught a glimpse of a familiar, frail, and solitary figure standing downstairs. What? Do you want to turn into an ice sculpture and be gawked at tomorrow morning? He took the scarf I handed him, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. This is my version of waiting at the gate in the snow. Do you like it? Then he sighed to himself. The fireworks factory here isn't up to par. They couldn't make the character and for you, so we had to use pre-made characters. Ollie, I said with a bitter smile, what exactly are you trying to do? You want to forgive me? He said with slightly reddened eyes. Ethel, I want us to be okay. Are you planning to stand here all night? Let's go back. I shook my head. Don't act like a high school student. Why go back? He moved closer to pull me, but I had learned my lesson and stepped back several paces. I can go upstairs right now and tell your parents we've been together for 5 years and are ready to talk about marriage. The child is dead and now you come with milk. I felt an inexplicable pang of sadness. In recent years, any of his choices could take precedence over me. Over time, business trips, meetings, social engagements, and later, even a co-worker who acted coy received far more patience from him than I ever did. How many times, waking from dreams at midnight, I called his number only to get no answer or a hurried "I'm busy" before he hung up. How many times I lay sick in bed, messaging him, only to receive a few words like "rest well and remember to take your medicine." How many festive seasons, bustling with excitement, I wanted to ask him out, but he would always frown and refuse, citing the crowds or a busy schedule. Gradually, I learned not to see him as a boyfriend anymore, yet he would often suddenly find some time to coax me. He would suddenly show up at my doorstep late at night, bringing a necklace I had liked for a long time. He would cancel a meeting when I had period cramps, holding me in his arms and massaging my lower abdomen. But when I reignited hope and started to have expectations of him as a boyfriend, he would revert to being cold and busy. I even suspected he was married and tried to check his marital status. I'd rather prove he had moral flaws than admit he didn't love me that much. I must be a little crazy. I kept cycling through my affection and disappointment for him in this torment, draining myself like a battery that charges and discharges too quickly. In the end, I chose to numb myself with work, and numb this love along with it, which proved quite effective. But what's the point of holding on like this? Diana is just a trigger. What does it matter if she knows we're a couple, or if she doesn't? The one who truly didn't see us as a couple was Ollie himself. I know I've done many things wrong. The snow crunched crisply under his feet as he slowly approached, looking down at me. I was too self-righteous. Ethel, I thought, you thought that no matter what you did, I would always love you the same way. I looked at him. He looked at me with reddened eyes, unsure how to explain. When I was a child, I learned a poem. What is life's journey like? It should be like a swan's footprints on snow. I looked at the footprints in the snow. Our feelings are just like those fleeting marks, covered by a heavy snowfall in no time. Let it go. I turned to leave, but was pulled back into his embrace. He held me tightly, unwilling to let go. Ethel, look over there. I looked up and saw, not far in the woods, 2 snowballs stacked into a snowman, ugly yet endearing. It felt like we were back on that winter day, laughing at each other as we looked at the 2 ugly snowmen we had spent half the day building. 5 years had passed in the blink of an eye, just a few thousand days. Yet it felt like a lifetime ago. We're not just shallow footprints. He pressed closer to me. We have these ugly snowmen. We have a whole 5 years. Tears welled in my eyes as I gently pried his hand away. These 5 years have been a nightmare for me. Except for the beginning. I looked at him. No, no. He shook his head, his voice trembling, and raised his hand to wipe my tears. But I dodged. I will always love the person who raced through the rain to save me. But you are no longer him. Or perhaps, from the very start, I misunderstood. He was rushing me to submit a bid, while also hurrying to rescue Diana, who couldn't find the signing document. Diana, no different, with red-rimmed eyes. He stared at me in a daze, while I resolutely turned and walked away quickly, pushing the door open. My mother looked at me and was startled. You're frozen like this. I entered the bedroom. That boy Auntie mentioned, arranged for us to meet. The next afternoon, I sat awkwardly across from the boy Auntie had dragged along, facing each other at the coffee table. Patrick. He handed me a creamer. Ethel, you really don't remember me. The name sounded vaguely familiar, and I fell into deep thought as I looked at him. His face suddenly overlapped with the memory of that boy on the playground, laughing heartily and wiping sweat after a slam dunk. Oh, I slapped my forehead. Back then, everyone called you the madman, as expected. They weren't wrong. The end of blind dates always leads back to high school classmates. I smiled, resting my forehead in my hand. You haven't changed much. Things have changed. Even if I know you're watching the game now, I won't slick my hair with half a bottle of gel anymore. He pouted. I was amused, and the awkward atmosphere instantly lightened quite a bit. You've changed a bit too, he said, looking at me seriously. You've matured a lot. I tore open a creamer. Yeah. After years of grinding like a workhorse, how could I still be the same as I was in school? He smiled lightly. Ethel, did you just decide to go on a blind date this year? The spoon stirring the coffee froze in the cup. How did you know? Because I've been asking your family through various people for 6 years. He said with a bitter smile. You only agreed this year. I widened my eyes and looked at the person across from me in disbelief. All these years. It couldn't have been you they kept sending me to meet, could it? There might have been others too, he shrugged, but I think the most persistent one was probably me. I couldn't help but laugh, and the gloom in my heart instantly lifted a great deal. Sir, the waiter approached awkwardly and quickly. Is your license plate number Y354158? He nodded in confusion. Yes, what's wrong? Someone hit your car outside. You should go take a look quickly. I had just heard some noise outside. So I jogged out with him. The driver at fault was Ollie, who took the to-go coffee from the server as if nothing had happened. His burgundy Bentley was pressed tightly against Patrick's little blue car, with the front end crushed out of shape. Sir, I was parked inside the parking space. You're fully at fault, Patrick said, trying to keep his temper in check as he negotiated. Of course, I've already reported it to the police and insurance, but it's going to waste your time. Ollie took a sip of milk tea, his gaze falling on me. This bubble tea is far worse than the one in City S. Do you know each other? Patrick frowned in confusion. I nodded, feeling quite apologetic. He's my ex. I'm really sorry. Patrick seemed to understand, looking at him with some hostility. Do you need my help? We haven't broken up yet. Ollie stepped in front of me, coldly sizing him up. No need to be in such a hurry, right? But I understand Ethel's meaning. Patrick stared intently at him. She's ready to start over. Why haven't you left yet? I was utterly speechless. Ethel. He stood firmly in front of me, looking at Patrick. If you get any closer to her, I won't just hit a car next time. Heh, Patrick sneered. No wonder Ethel dumped an ex like you. Ollie flew into a rage and raised his fist to strike. Patrick stood his ground without backing down. As they stood off against each other, Ray hurriedly arrived by car. Hand it over to you, get the 4S car repair sorted, arrange a replacement vehicle, and remember to calculate the depreciation fee along with extra compensation for this guy's lost wages. He no longer paid attention to Patrick, exchanged keys with Ray, opened the passenger door, and looked at me with a heavy gaze. Feeling guilty, I turned to apologize to him. Because of me. Your car got damaged, I'm sore. Patrick smiled and shook his head. It's not your fault. He gestured with his chin for me to come over. Go ahead. There are some things you have to finish before you can move on to the next step. If anything comes up, call me, I'll be there anytime. I nodded, turned around, took a deep breath, and got into the car. He sped the whole way, and we stayed silent until he pulled over by a lake. Ollie, I frowned, turning my head to look at him. I thought I made myself very clear yesterday. He got out of the car and opened the door for me, but I didn't hear clearly. Get out. The sun set behind the western hills, dusk fell, and the lake shimmered with glimmering light. Does it feel familiar? He asked, standing beside me. Of course it feels familiar. If the story's prelude was that rainy day's farewell, then the lakeside confession was the prologue to everything. Unfortunately, prologues are all in the past. Why are you going on a blind date? His eyes were clouded with confusion and anger. I don't need to explain, do I? I looked at the lake. You deliberately crashed the car, and it was only because they had class that they didn't call the police. He grabbed my wrist tightly. You can break up with me and then go laugh and drink coffee with someone else. I ignored the sharp pain in my wrist, only finding it ridiculous. You didn't break up with me, yet you can lean in to talk to someone else. Go to their place and drink ginger tea. He didn't know I had seen it all and probably more that I hadn't, and for a moment, panic flickered in his eyes. I found it even more amusing and struggled to free my wrist. How many times have you given her the lunch I made? He looked at me in astonishment, as if he hadn't been the one doing those things. Seizing the opportunity, I took back my wrist and rubbed it. What? Didn't think I'd see it, did you? I sneered. This is the person who taught me for 5 years what it means to avoid suspicion. She and we never crossed the line. Diana, he lowered his eyes and his voice softened, always seemed to need me so much. I crossed my arms and watched him, waiting for him to continue. I had no interest in accusing him of cheating. I was just curious about his contradiction. On one hand, he showed such favoritism toward Diana that it sparked rumors, and on the other, he came to me so resolutely, begging me to come back. She reminded me a lot of you during your internship. I still remember the first time I saw you, standing at the subway station, dragging a huge stack of tender documents, your nose red from the cold, staring intently at every passing car. He smiled bitterly at the memory, and when you stepped in front of that motorcycle, covered in injuries, lying in bed with your eyes closed, like a fledgling bird, it just gripped my heart instantly. During the time we were together, I was facing many evaluations. I pushed you away many times, always saying I was too busy, telling you to learn to handle things on your own. He smiled bitterly. Gradually, you really became more and more capable. I watched you lead the team with efficiency and handle emergencies with ease. You needed me less and less. He wanted to grasp my hand to prove his words were sincere, but I just looked at him quietly, and he awkwardly let his hand drop. But Diana, he took a deep breath. She doesn't seem afraid of me scolding her for being clumsy, and she doesn't care what others say about her. She just sticks to me, saying she can't do anything. She'll look at me with bright eyes and praise me. When the power goes out, she grabs my arm and says she's scared. She says she's afraid of cutting her hand while slicing ginger. She says she sprained her ankle and begs me to pick her up. Ollie, I found his reasoning as absurd as a fairy tale. Are you saying that even if you were cold to me, I shouldn't have given up on you, that I should still have begged for your help and acted coy with you, or else it's my fault if someone else takes advantage? That's not what I meant. He shook his head, his eyes reddening. I don't like her. It's my fault. He pushed me to cut off all reliance on him with his indifference, only to use my independence as an excuse for his own wavering heart. I guess every cloud has a silver lining. I wiped away the tears of frustration. If you had treated me like you did Diana, I wouldn't have learned so quickly. In that sense, I should thank you. I took out my phone to call a ride. Thanks to him, I've completely lost my fascination with the sunset lakeside today. Ethel, he pulled me over, forcing me to look at him. I love you. His voice trembled slightly, just like when he confessed his feelings back then. I didn't even realize how much I love you. I removed his hand. I can't bear this. "Don't go." He reached out to hold me from behind, but I turned around and slapped him. "If you keep pestering me or do something as absurd as today, I'll call the police." He didn't dodge, letting me slap his face until it swelled up high, just looking at me with sorrow. "If I fire Diana and write you a guarantee that nothing like this will ever happen again, will you come back?" Even now, he still thinks all I care about is Diana. "The return you anticipated exists only in your dreams." Another round of the same old argument broke out at home, only this time, they were even more self-righteous. "You've already met that young man," Mom said earnestly. "It's about time to settle it while everyone is here." "The young man came back and said you were very nice." Dad looked puzzled. "And you're the one being picky about him." "I'm begging you." I tugged at my hair. "We just met for the first time. And you're already fast-forwarding to marriage. You're almost 30. My mom glared at me through gritted teeth. "If you don't marry soon, you'll only be chosen by divorced men. Getting married is your duty as a child." My dad's face darkened. "They've even asked about the bride price. How sincere is that?" I'm going crazy. "What responsibility do I even have? Do you actually care about my happiness? Or are you just concerned about your reputation in front of others, talking as a family?" Mom was startled. "What's gotten into you? Let me tell you, if you keep being this stubborn, you'll regret it sooner or later and end up alone." Dad glared at me. I sneered through my tears. "The news is full of husbands killing their wives or committing insurance fraud. Third uncle beats his wife when he's drunk. Fourth uncle cheats one after another while fourth aunt pretends not to know. You just can't wait for me to end up like that. Can you? All couples live like this. There must be some good ones too." Mom roared. "Don't talk back. Let me tell you, a woman without marriage is a failure, no matter how successful her career is." Dad sighed deeply. I slammed the door and stormed out. Good thing I didn't tell them I quit my job. Or marriage would be my only way out. I have no doubt that they love me, but once the phrase "continuing the family line" is mentioned, it's as if they've been put under a spell. Patrick rushed to apologize to me. "I'm sorry, Ethel," he said, his face full of panic and regret. "I just told my dad that I really like you, and he went ahead and discussed dowry and wedding dates with your fourth aunt. I was shocked when I found out, and I argued with him before running out." "It's okay. I understand you." I looked down at myself, having run out in slippers. "I'm in no hurry to get married." He handed me a cup of hot cocoa. "Let's take it step by step and let things happen naturally." "Patrick." I took it but shook my head at him. "I just got out of a serious relationship. I don't want to jump right into the next one and use you as a band-aid. That wouldn't be fair or respectful to you." "It's okay. I expected you to turn me down." He sat down beside me, looking up at the snow on the branches. "Ethel is still the same Ethel. Thank you for the hot cocoa, and thank you for your persistence." I took a sip and smiled gently. "It's really warm, this cup of hot cocoa. I've been holding on to it since the winter mornings of my first year in high school, and only today did I find the courage to give it to you." He smiled at me, his eyes full of certainty. "I've waited 6 years. I don't mind waiting 2 more. I was speechless for a moment, helplessly raising my laptop bag and shaking it at him. "I need to find a place to work on my resume." "All right." He nodded, his gaze deep and fixed on me. "You won't be coming back to City N, right?" "Yeah." I understood what he meant. I won't be back. I was halfway through revising my resume when my mom called, saying someone had come to propose a marriage. I thought it was Patrick's dad making decisions for his son again, sighed, and hurried back home. Why do all these parents urging marriage seem to have a 100% similarity rate? Until I saw Ollie sitting on the sofa. This young man is so well put together, hard-working at his job, and so generous. Auntie 3 came to visit again, her smile tinged with a hint of sourness. "Our Ethel is really so fortunate." I trembled with anger. "Who told you to just barge into someone else's house? Get out. I'm calling the police." The back of my head was slapped by my mother, who was holding a plate of fruit. "Calling the police during the new year? Can't you be a little nicer to people?" Ollie stepped forward to protect me. "Auntie, Ethel and I were arguing. It's normal for her to be upset." "We weren't arguing. We broke up." I gritted my teeth and glared at him. "Are you out of your mind?" "Yes. I'm out of my mind." He lowered his voice and looked at me. "I won't stand by and watch someone else marry you. It's normal for young couples to have little quarrels." Third aunt smiled at me. "He's already bought you the gold jewelry. This phoenix crown is so magnificent. He said there's no limit to the bride price. You can ask for millions if you want. He even said he'd sign a voluntary gift agreement. Just look at this. Just look." Only then did I notice the coffee table piled high with an array of gold items and gift boxes, which complemented the Chinese-style decor in the room, creating an atmosphere of perfect New Year abundance. "Take them back." I pointed at those things. "And you get out of here right now, then we can part on good terms." "Why?" He looked at me innocently. "I genuinely want to marry you." I took out my phone to call the police. but my mother snatched it away and tossed it aside. "Third sister, you can head back first." Mother nodded politely toward third aunt. "I need to have a few private words with the two children." All right. Third aunt reluctantly placed the gold bracelet back into the box. "Little Anne, this child is really, Ollie, have some tea." Mother gestured for me and Ollie to sit down. "Auntie," Ollie still wanted to say something, "you've said a lot of sincere words just now, and I can tell that you truly care about our Ethel." I was about to speak, but my mother signaled me to keep quiet. "I never imagined you two have been together for over 5 years. Mom took a sip of tea. "Ethel, this child, always keeps everything to herself, Auntie. It was all my fault for not being mature before, but now I understand." Ollie lowering his head to look at the tea leaves in his cup, he mumbled like a child who had done something wrong. "In the past few years, whenever I called Ethel, she was either just finished crying or in low spirits." Mom glanced at me with heartache in her eyes. "Later, she was almost always working overtime and rarely answered the phone. We're back in our hometown and can't do much to help her. So we just send her some food and drinks." I don't know what you two argued about, but I do know that since she came back this time, Ethel has clearly been much more relaxed, without that suffocating feeling. Mom pushed the gift box on the coffee table toward him. "So I don't agree to your marriage proposal. Go back to City N." I widened my eyes and looked at her. Was this still the same Mom who had roared this morning that it didn't matter who I married? "What are you doing?" Mom shot me a glare. "I only pushed you because I knew that Lin family's kid had been begging our family for years. Did you really think I'd just drag anyone in to be my son-in-law?" Ollie turned pale and looked at us in despair. "Ethel, Ollie, you're a good kid. You'll find a nice girl." Mom patted his shoulder. "Be polite now. See him out." Ollie stood up, nearly stumbling unsteadily. "All these years, I've wronged Ethel. Consider this my way of making it up." He looked at me with a pale face. "Accompany me one last time." I nodded, knowing he had completely given up, and put on my coat to see him downstairs. "Those things are too valuable. I'll give them all to Ray later." We walked on the snowy path. "Where did you park your car?" He stopped, took something out of his coat pocket, and handed it to me. "I originally intended to use it for Valentine's Day, but it seems unnecessary now." He shook his head self-mockingly. "Do with it as you please." I opened it to find a massive diamond ring, glittering brilliantly in the snowlight. "It's beautiful," I said, handing it back to him. "Keep it. You might need it someday." He took it, then suddenly flung it far away, looking at me with eyes full of sorrow. "If I had proposed to you half a year ago, you would have agreed, right?" I nodded. "I see." He chuckled softly. "I deserved that. Let's end it here." I saw his car. "Goodbye, Ollie, goodbye." He stood by the car, watching my figure fade into the distance. My previous company didn't make things difficult for me and handled my resignation procedures remotely. The bubble tea group chat occasionally discusses new gossip, but I only check it once in a while. Diana was still fired, and she made quite a scene. Ollie didn't show up, only having HR hold her accountable for the project's mistakes. After that, Ollie resigned. Everyone was stunned. He was clearly the candidate being groomed by headquarters to take over the China region, but he quietly flew off to Silicon Valley without even attending his own farewell party. I said goodbye to those lovely young ladies and left that bubble tea group. In April, the grass grows and orioles fly, kites drift in the east wind. And the boy holding hot cocoa is still waiting for me downstairs. Life has many diverging paths north and south, but fortunately, I've walked each step myself, and none have been in vain. The end.